Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on the way in. Wow. Okay. So for those of you that caught the stream last night, and I've had some hours to reflect. Not really. I slept, and then there's a couple hours in the morning. So yeah. So I have a couple of hours to reflect on it. A few hours to reflect. Um, yeah. So and if y'all don't mind, we might have to do that panel stream on Friday. I'm sorry, y'all. We might. I said, wait, today's Friday. We might have to do that panel stream on Monday because Mr. Z, ooh, the exhaustion. Um, Leon. As a matter of fact, Leon, so you are actually the first person I actually want to bring up. My bad, bro. I saw the comment you posted when you posted it the first time about bell hooks. I saw it before you even put the super chat. I read it, and it was in my mind to bring up, right? And then I saw when you super chatted it, and I said, you know what? Yeah, let me make sure to emphasize this point, right? But the conversation was just so fluid and it was moving so quickly, and I'm trying to you know express certain things to FD signified that I just lost it. Right? It just we kept on moving and like yeah. And my comments already auto populated, so I got to see it again. I was like, oh yeah, goddamn, I forgot to make this point that Leon was trying to make, right? So my bad, Leon, man. Like I really, but I think FD he gets it. So for those of you that y'all said it in the comments, and it is what it is. It's true. Look, man, like at the end of the day, the brother said, and I don't fault him for that. I'm not gonna go at black women the way y'all would like, or I'm not going to critique them in this particular way. And to tell you the truth, I understand. I understand. I'm okay, fine. I understand. And maybe you feel like that's not your place as a black man critiquing black women. Okay. No, seriously, okay. Nothing wrong with that. Here's the issue, like I said last night. But the women that you're in community with aren't doing that. The only one you really get is Juicy. That's why Chrissy went at Juicy once upon a time, right? It's only Juicy. Every once in a while, you'll get a blink and you'll miss it comment from Kim Foster. T Noir will put maybe 5 or so minutes. Nappy Edit Hobo will maybe say a little something here, but she's not really pinning down the point like she has the talent to do. So in other words, everyone's dogpiling black men, and when that's what I was saying originally. Everyone dogpiles black men, and when it comes time to critique black women for wanting the same white patriarchy, whether it's exhibited by black men, white men, Latino men, or Asian men, now all of a sudden we don't know how to speak. We're not articulate enough. We're not talented enough, right? Or in FD's case, we don't have the correct sex to critique this and to ask the black women, do y'all realize how hypocritical y'all sound and look? And so we leave it up to black women to do, fine, right? Academically accomplished black women to do, talented black women to do, the ones that have the vocabulary and the letters before or after they name, and they don't do it. Right? So, yeah. And so I understand, FD, if you feel like it's not your job, that's not your place, fine. But as I said last night, you're admitting that you're putting your thumb on the scales. By the way, all of you are admitting that. So once again, going right back to what Mr. Z was saying before. So what is to be gleaned from that? What black women can extrapolate from watching their brothers get beat upside the head while they barely get a tap on the wrist is, oh, well, then I'm right. I'm on the right side of history. Like, there's a continuum to this. There's a conclusion that a person can glean or extrapolate from watching someone get disciplined in front of them while they do the same thing or worse sometimes, and then they barely get disciplined. And what's extrapolated from that is, oh, well, I guess I'm right. I'm on the right side of history, right? I want this thing and he wants this thing, but I want it for a novel and good reason, and he wants it for insidious and bad reason. Right? I want a black man that moves like a white patriarch, or I want the white patriarch, or I want a Latino that moves like a white patriarch, right? I want an Asian that moves like a white patriarch. but I want it because, I worked so hard in school and I did all of the right things, and, I deserve this. And it's an example, and it's a status marker for all the work I've done. Now, the black man that wants to move like a patriarch, now what, I'm not putting a moral claim to it. I'm saying the black man that wants to move that way, and I'm not saying that I'm using white patriarch for a reason, right? But the black man that wants to move that way, oh, he's sexist and he's misogynistic, right? And he has, these archaic views of relationships, and we need to queer our relationships. That's why I said to him, he didn't have much to say about that. Wait until y'all start telling women what egalitarianism really look like. You think men are throwing a first, you think black men are throwing a fit? You think white men and Latino men are throwing a fit? Wait until women fully get a hold of what egalitarianism really look like. By the way, that's why there's a lowering marriage rate. That's why there's a lowering birth rate. Maybe the brother didn't hear what he rolled on to, and I said this last night, right? What he rolled on to when I was speaking about South Korea. That's why the birth rate is going down. That's why the marriage rate is going down. That's what I would argue, right? Because the women are saying, wait, if I can't have a paymaster, then to hell with all of this, right? And it's rich to see brothers like FD living that life, foreign man in a foreign land living that life, a bunch of other brothers living that life while they tell us, no, you can't live that life. Because when you are attempting to live that life, you want to imitate white patriarchy. Meanwhile, the women are telling you, I'm not marrying because I can't have this quote unquote white patriarchy. Now, I can't, if I can't, I don't want to get married. I don't want to have children. None of it. Right? None of it. Right? Which I think, fine, that's okay. That's okay. Have fun. And it's interesting, FD, gave his story with his family. I'm not going to go too far into it. He asked me to lay off. Okay. But you gave your story, brother. And like, you're trying to frame it in this wholesome way. You could call it what you want to call it. You could frame it how you want to frame it. It's very clear what that is. And that's all that men are asking. Nobody shamed you or belittled you for at one point your wife earned more than you and she was the primary breadwinner. Nobody's saying anything negative about that. We understand we're black. We understand the ups and downs. We understand that sometimes you got it and sometimes she got it. But when you got comfortable that you would be able to be the one to hold the family down financially by yourself, you made her a stay-at-home wife. And that's very telling. Especially, excuse me, in this environment when we're telling black men, why are you aspiring for that? And we're telling black women at the very margins, yeah, you can't expect that from black men. So what do black women do? Jump on the first white peen, especially if it looks like security over there. Now they could try to make it character flaw in black men, and it's not. I don't see race and I don't see color. Look, man, I said it before. If y'all are waiting for black women, the non-card carrying divestors and swirlers. Once again, the non-card carrying swirlers and divestors to sound like Nazis about this, they're not. They're going to frame it in this, I don't see color, I don't see love, and goddamn, Leon, I am so mad I did not make that point. I am so mad I did not make that bell hooks point. Right? Train tracks. By the way, y'all already know this is living life reckless, so y'all do not say it in the comments. All right? But yeah. Everywhere I went, and man, that would have been such a good point. I'm so sorry, Leon. But everywhere I went, right, as Bell Hooks said, everywhere I went, I was looking for love, but all I found was patriarchy. A few moments later, right, and what's her Gloria Steinem over here talking like the best love she ever got in her life was from a working class man, I think she was saying, or excuse me, y'all, a man that didn't earn as much money and didn't have it like that. And what did Bell Hooks say? Yeah, not for me. Yup, you could keep that over there. Not for me. Right? That would have been such a good point to make in the middle of but he would have found a way. But FD already expressed that he already knew that Bell Hooks had problematic statements, and that she comes from respectability politics, black people from the 70s and the 80s, particularly the 80s, right? You notice he didn't really have a response to what I said about Kimberly Crenshaw and why you know he kind of is moving away from this kind of intersectional feminist, intersectional black feminist, there we go, view of things. And as I said, he said it's inadequate. No, because you realize that Bell Hooks used intersectionality to minimize of black men, to elevate black women, and that's the same thing Dr. Richard Reeves realized. That's the same thing that Dr. Richard Reeves realized, right? I would argue before intersectionality was a concept in that way, before it became codified, that's probably the same thing that goddamn, who was the name of this white dude? I lost it. But you're right. That's what the white researchers and scholars from the 60s and 70s, I would argue that's what they were saying also. If we do not carve out a space for black men specifically, because of the rise of feminism, black women will eat all of the boons and all of the gains for black people. And that's exactly what's happened. Right? That's exactly what's happened. So what was my title again? Farming for a perspective, right? Yeah, farming for a different perspective. So the brother gave me a compliment and thank you. I don't know if he was patronizing me. He did say that he does far less patronizing than people think. Okay, I'll take him at his word for that. And like I got him to think about things. What's important to that statement is, but brother, you got a master's degree in education and you're married, right? And the perspective that I'm offering here is observable reality. Once again, the perspective that I'm offering here is not only observable reality, but it's backed up by the data if you frame it correctly. If you frame it correctly, once again, if you frame it correctly, see, I'm glad to a certain extent that you were saying that me and much of these divestors are saying the same thing. Yeah, but their framing is still intersectional. See, that's what they got correct from feminists. They're framing it in an intersectional way, which still puts black men in the oppressor role of black women, which says, I'm doing this because and as a response to black men's abuse and negligence, right? So at the end of the day, what comes out in the wash is black men. See, yeah, you and black women might be doing similar or saying similar, but once again, as I said last night, and he didn't have anything to say much to that. Yeah, but you're doing it to obtain white male power, and she's doing it for justice, right? She's righteous indignation, right? Righteous anger. You're on the other hand, you're just resentful seeing black women prosper, seeing black women do well. Isn't this what Ebony K. Williams was saying? We're jealous of black women upward mobility. About 20% of us that might vote for Donald Trump are jealous. We never speak about how the Ebonies sound, brother. You and Eddie, and I can't remember the name of the other brother, covered the Ebony K. Williams thing, and y'all still. I'm so glad she came back 2, 3 more times because y'all still frame once again the framing. You still framed it incorrectly, and I'm glad she came back 2, 3 more times to put it in its proper perspective and frame it correctly. She's looking for a lifestyle. Yes, she got it. She's not looking for a man that's similarly situated. She's looking for a man with more. And it's not just the professional managerial class. It's not just the petite bourgeoisie of black women or the bourgeoisie. You go further down, and it's the same. The women in general resent earning more than their men. Even the studies show that. Even when the men and the women actually say it, like there's so much data and studies on this, right? Even when the men and the husbands are perfect, oh yeah, my wife earned more. It's our money anyway. Who actually spoke about it? Was a white woman that spoke about this too. That the women end up being like, well, should I consult him about the fact that my job is offering me more overtime, but I have to go out of town for a week? I don't think I should. I feel a certain way about him spending my money. And I realize, and I'm being hypocritical because when he was earning more, I didn't see it as his money. I saw it as our money. There's so much information on this. So what I'm saying is, have fun attempting to socialize women. Like I said, they're slowly waking up to what egalitarianism is really going to look like, and they're saying, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah, then f that money thing. I mean, excuse me, f that marriage and childbearing thing. Yeah, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it." Which is their prerogative. To be honest with you, have fun left. Have fun. That's why that's why Anne Marie Slaughter said what she said. When you tell women you want the C-suite, you want the corner office, somebody's gonna have to take a backseat to their career. That means your husband is going to, and that's when women jump off the bus. And the Brooklynites, for her it was Brooklyn. These type of women and men that are okay with it, this handful of women that are okay with that type of dynamic, they give the lie to the fact that most women aren't. But on that clip, Anne Marie Slaughter is kind of chastising women and saying we have to change our perspective on what makes a man masculine. That's a middle-aged white woman, or at least at the time, a middle-aged white woman saying that. Where are all the black women to say that, brother? Like that full-throatedly. Where are all the black women to say that full-throatedly? Exactly, Indigo. Congratulations, you're a provider now, boo. Black women are over here all across social media. And even when it's not so, obviously it's posted on social media. When you watch lectures about this, all these women are playing patty cake with the subject. All these scholars are playing patty cake with the subject. When you watch their lectures, they're all playing patty cake with the subject because no one wants to come out and tell women in general, especially black women, because black women are so mad. They feel, I never got this. Black women never got to be stay-at-home mothers in any significant number. We never got to experience that. We never got to play damsel in distress. We never got that. So now you're telling us not only did we not get it, you're going to close the door on that, except for a handful of black women that mainly are going to be in partnership, in relationship with white men. Those are the only ones that might get to play that game. And yes, you're right. Most white women didn't get to play it in that particular way either. Have fun. I said it. Have fun telling women in general what this is going to look like, what egalitarianism really look like, right? Have fun. So, I tried to, and I did it subconsciously. I wasn't really, it wasn't a conscious thought, but, I spit out as much information, and I said the title wrong initially, but I tried to get it out before he jumped off, right? The economically unattractive men are leading to a downturn in marriage. And that's from the woman's perspective. Just in case you're listening, FD, brother, you already know I'm not going to spam you. I'm going to tag you in this, and this is it for a while. economically unattractive men, and there's an article on this, a woman's perspective, mind you, economically unattractive men are leading to a downturn in marriage, right? Y'all got like, man, the women are showing it through act. It's fascinating, and I'm glad I called them out on that. Y'all are saying we're in our bubbles, boy. Are y'all in y'all bubble? We're in our bubbles. Black leftists and leftists in general, and a far leftists, mind you, y'all really think the women are down for what you saying? And that's because, Z, they're not being blatant what they're saying. Ha 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 ha. Not to the women. They not telling women, hey, okay, let me just tell you, this is what's coming with egalitarianism. 50-50, if you're lucky, 60-40 split financial obligations, right? You're gonna have to increase your work hours. Uh-oh. Right? You give birth to the child, you spend the first 6 weeks home, guess what? Your husband gets to spend the next 6 weeks home, right? Or you spend 90 days home, he gets to spend the next 90 days home. Right? It it looks ugly out there. I mean, exactly, BGS. They don't read and study as much as they claim to. And I'm like, there's no way y'all think that we're in our bubble when there's so much studies that show that women don't want this. And he's like, well, no, that's not it. That is why I brought up Anne Marie Slaughter. When you tell women what it's gonna look like, and that power couple thing ain't really real like that, they're like, oh, next stop. Right? Exactly. And Leon says FD reply is that's because of capitalism and white supremacy. Exactly. Right? And Bruce on Wayne, thank you for the super chat. He said Z retune encore, which means like I returned again. And he said Z retune encore, Z back again for their neck. Bro, I'm telling you. Right? And I should have made this argument last night. The reason why I focus on intimate relationships between black men and black women is because I think black people, black women, namely in this case, take those relationships or lack thereof, and they take their experiences and their resentments and their anger, and then it dictates how they work with black men outside of the home, outside of the neighborhood, outside of the hood, outside of the black communities across the country. Right? That's why I focus on the intimate relationship between black men and black women. I would like to remind y'all of the therapists. I would like to remind you of Chrissy, Yanni, right? Crystal and Karazin, right? The attorney that we had to run off a couple of years ago, the black female attorney, right? These women have experiences with black men, or a lack thereof experiences with black men and boys. And then that resentment and anger of, oh yeah, oh Stefco, we could keep on going. Right? They have these experiences, and then they take that resentment outside of just the home, they take it off of the internet. That was my whole point in bringing up the 3 black women that were on the beach when the brother was, and I want to remember if it was on the beach, but on the beach where the brother interviewed them and one of them randomly said, sprinkle, sprinkle. That's a whole internet phenomenon coming from Shira 7 that is now being said, yeah, funny enough, on social media, but in the real world. Good point. Good point, Trail. Good point. Right? And Trail says, I am still pissed that he claimed that, excuse me, I am still pissed that he came in and ignored the topic that was already on the table with the Korean feminists. Well, that's too on the nose. Right? That's too on the nose. Especially that I was playing the clip. Right? I was playing the clip of what it looks like on the other side of what BGS was saying yesterday. right? That about 37% of them are the ones that are actually preparing for the future out of 30 and 40 some odd year olds. And 80 something percent of them really don't know what they're going to do in the future. That's for 30 and 40 some odd year olds. Exactly. We were talking about no dating, no sex with men, no marriage, and no kids. Well, hey, look at our birth rate in the black community. Look at our birth rate in America with 1.6. Right? So, you know, as I said, farming for perspective, brother, if you weren't in that extreme leftist bubble, I'm a leftist. I'm a card carrying leftist in the black manosphere. It ain't easy. But I am not in a bubble. That's why I can understand the conservative perspective. That's why I can understand the centrist perspective. That's why I can speak to brothers like the Roger Report and Dr. Thunder in the center. And I can speak to Angry Man and Obsidian on the right. And Bernard Riley, who's more newly in the right. And if you want to call Bernard Riley kind of reactionary with the right, with the right leaning. I don't know how much of that is like, it's more like, yeah, I can't, black women, I can't let you get away with that. Bernard Riley ain't right leaning like Obsidian is right leaning, right? But I can speak to these different brothers because I understand it. And I'm not in my bubble. Exactly, hood conservative. How many conversations have I had with hood conservative? Right? So, you know, it's if you weren't in your bubble, I think that it would behoove you to kind of step out of that bubble. It would behoove you. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. It would behoove you to step out that bubble, brother. Right? Because I think the reason why you're somewhat farming for perspectives is because even on the left, there's only so far you can go. Right? There's only so far you can go. And that's why you frame things in a certain way. But I don't have to adhere to that. The framing is in a weird way is to infantilize black women in a weird way, but then at the same time give them agency, but then at the same time, speak as if they're not 100% sure and they might be a bit ignorant, but at the same time speak about black men like we're truly the ones that's ignorant. It's like whichever narrative fits in the moment to put black women in the best light. And this is not, what's interesting? We're not speaking about white racists. It's very interesting because like the left likes to kind of play this game with black men like we're kind of pseudo white racists over here. Black men ain't going at black women like that. We're really not. Right? But it's very interesting. And as FD said, the fear that he has, so he go, put gas at nighttime, and if his wife need gas and whatnot. Brother, the environment in the world is never going to be 100% safe. Not ever. And if we're using that frame to then say, well, because something might happen and it might be at the hands of a black man, we got to chop your hands off. Fine. Chop black men's hands off. And then when black women complain about black men's hands being chopped off and then threaten to date out and marry out because Asian men still have hands and white men still have hands and Latino men still have hands, now what? What I am saying is black women and leftist black men and leftist black women don't get to turn black men's manhood and masculinity and I am man, hear me roar. They don't get to put it on the on and off switch when they decide when it should be on. If you want the man with the power, you got to risk that he might bite your head off. Oh, yeah, Mr. Z City. Yes, I did. That's what comes with the territory. And what they're trying to do is neuter black men because of the fear that you might bite a black woman's head off. Now, forget all the data that speaks about how already black men are more egalitarian than everyone else, including white women. Goddamn, Z. And BGS says the left is out of ideas. I said it before, the left won the culture war and the right won the economic war. And now the right is coming for the culture war and the left don't know what to do. The left got scared coming out of the 70s into the 80s, and Reagan so thoroughly took any vestige of anything, any hope. Reagan and the conservatives coming into the 80s, oh, the horror. And he was seen as cool, oh, the horror. And so the left went and hid in academia and in pop culture, and they had it for a couple decades. And now the right is trying to figure out a way to slowly start taking all of that back. Now the right is on the edge of culture, and it's looking real ugly. The left used to be the edgelords. Now the right is the edgelords, and y'all know how that go. Right? PK, I ain't gonna tell you. PK says, "Go to sleep, Z. You know you tired, bro. You've been up as long as me. I can't, and you know why. Don't put it in the comments. I can't go to sleep. You know why. Do not put it in the comments. Right. So there's that part. Right. So I'm looking at excuse me FD, and I'm realizing that he's kind of farming for perspective. And shout out to him, whether the compliment was sincere and genuine or not. And it's interesting he didn't think about the same-sex loving relationship part. Like what? Like, did you not hear of Princella and the splash that she's making? And I actually was saying it before I really knew who Princella was, right? That yeah, we start off with black men ain't ish, and then we're going to swirl and divest, and then that don't work out for most black women because white men are white men, and Latino men are Latino men, and Asian men are Asian men, and indigenous men are indigenous men, and they're all anti-black as hell, right? And so what that leaves black women with is going back to black men or staying single or same-sex loving relationships. It's very interesting when the brother said, as long as they're not doing this neoliberal thing. And I'm like, yeah, but that is what he said. It's interesting how he slipped in the rose toy thing. Y'all didn't even catch it. Y'all didn't even catch it. How many of y'all caught when he kind of slipped in? Well, if they're doing the, partnering up with their homegirl, or if they're doing the rose thing. And he didn't say rose toy, he said the rose thing. And I was like, I caught you. Right? I caught you when you said it. Funny. But brother, the whole reason they're doing the swirl thing, and the whole reason they're doing the rose toy single thing, and the whole reason they're doing the same-sex loving thing is their neoliberal assessment of relationship. Once again, like I said, if I'm going to be with a black man, it's going to be a matriarchy. We're going to call it egalitarian. It's a matriarchy. It's a gynocracy. Right? The white men get to play patriarchal games with black women, not black men. Once again, white men get to play patriarchal games with black women, not black men, right? Huh. So it's a neoliberal understanding. So the same-sex loving thing and the Rose toy single thing and the swirler thing is all coming from the same place. And that's why, like I said last night, the juxtaposition is Asian women. Because if we understand, and you know, the brother doesn't deny hypergamy. He thinks you could socialize it out of black women and women in general. Have fun with that. He thinks you could socialize it out. Yeah. Have fun with that. Right? So, you know, that's why I use, excuse me, y'all. That's why I use Asian women as a juxtaposition once again. If this is about, meeting a man that's educationally on your level, maybe a little bit more, financially on your level, maybe a little bit more, right? Then why is it that Asian women who jockey back and forth with Asian men for who's the most educated, why are they, for American born Asian women, marrying outside of their race when they do get married at 54%, primarily to white men? If it's about stability and assortative mating, then where do white men come in? Right? In that case, Asian men and Asian women should be the people that marry within their race the most. And that's not the case now, is it? If you don't count indigenous, Asian men and Asian women marry outside the most. They don't marry within the most, they marry outside the most. American born Asian men at what, 38, 39%? I think I saw numbers as low as 37. And American born Asian women somewhere around 53 and 54%. And I'm arguing when you reach that financial threshold where it's no longer about the struggle and you're doing well financially, this is when conspicuous consumption come in. And so the person that you're with no longer represents stability. Now they got to represent that you're above that you're doing better than that. And that's why they're dating and marrying white people, particularly for Asian women. That's where white men come in. Right? So farming for perspective, like I said, like the title suggests, is the brother, being educated, being well spoken, being able to grapple with different ideas and concepts, cool, right? But maybe not really considering how much women don't want what's being sold here and they're showing you through action, right? That's why the marriage rate is going down. And I forgot to bring up the American Enterprise Institute and what those findings are, and that 26% of poor Americans are married, 39% of middle class, and 56% of upper middle class and above. And that was as of like 2017, I want to say, 2018. So those numbers have moved a little bit recently. Right? And that speaks to something. And what we're telling, what the society is, especially because of capitalism, I'll be honest with that, is what the society is telling working class men is like, nigga, you can't get married. Which fine. Say it to the women too, though, so they can stop talking in our head. Unless what we are saying is if you don't earn this type of money, then yeah, it is character flaw. If we're tying your ability to acquire resources and wealth acquisition to character flaw, then fine, okay. But if we're not going to do that, then why is it that men are men, but the men that are doing better financially are the ones getting married and, more importantly, more likely to stay married. What do those men have, and what are those men doing that the working class and poor men aren't doing? Are we saying just because you have a certain amount of resources and a certain amount of institutional education from white people that now you're a better communicator? Uh-oh. Huh? That now you have better conflict resolution? Yikes. Or is it just that you have the money and she ain't divorcing? Right? Because the number one indicator of poverty in America is dun 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 divorce. Right? Exactly, BGS. They're harder to find, supply and demand. In other words, you got the ballerific dude. Yeah, he might have cheated. Yeah, he might have had a baby on you. Yeah, he might bark on you every once in a while, but you ain't going nowhere because where are you going to find another one? Shout out to Beyonce. Oops. Huh? So, it's very clear what this is. It is interesting speaking to FD, and the framing is everything here. And what you saw is not as much disagreement. Like, go back and listen to that stream. What we were really battling here is the framing of the information that me and him agree on, and what that information entails and what you can glean from that. That's a lot of the debate was that, the framing. I'm glad I got to say we provide the proper perspective here. Right? I'm glad I got to say that. And I'm glad I got to say the only one really, as I said, the only one that consistently says to women, hey, y'all got this wrong. Y'all, like Julesy. Not only Julesy already know the arrows are coming. Where's Kim Foster think piece that's 25 minutes, 30, 35 minutes, an hour long, about how black women weren't socialized to marry down? Where is it? Where's Kim Foster's? Where's Teen Wars? Where's Khadijah's? Where's Cat Black's? Where? Where's Nappy Headed Hobos? Where? Where's Amanda Marianne? Where? All these black content creators, these video essayists, etc., where are they? Cornbread Tube, where is it? Right? It doesn't exist. Nor will it probably ever. It doesn't exist, nor will it probably ever. And I'm glad that many of you caught that last night, where essentially FD did admit, yeah, we put our thumb on the scales for the women. Now, when I said it, he said no, but then he went on to pretty much describe that, yes, I do. Right? And so then and I'm glad, when he tried to go at BGS, I was like, yeah, no, we over here riding with BGS, right? And Dr. T. Hassan Johnson and Dr. Green Gorilla, and because, brother, y'all were never gonna speak for us. Y'all were never. And even though what you're doing there, you're trying to like smuggle in some of the things that we're saying here to have the establishment and black intelligentsia consider what we're saying. They're not hearing none of that for the most part. That's cute. I see what you're doing, brother. I see it. I see it. You're trying to smuggle in breadcrumb after breadcrumb, talking about cornbread tube, breadcrumb after breadcrumb to have them consider what we're saying. They're not. Brother, you're older than me. You're more educated than me. I see it. You don't see it? Don't worry. TikTok, TikTok. You'll realize it eventually if you don't already. Right? You'll realize it eventually. They're not hearing none of that. You could keep on trying to frame it as non-offensive and be as nuanced as you want, be as politically correct as you want, use all the euphemisms you want. They're not trying to hear it. I would like to direct you to my brother's keeper. Right? So we provide the proper perspective and framing. And if certain black women find that offensive, so be it. And if certain leftist black women, the handful of them that are okay with a certain dynamic between them and their heterosexual, naturally born male black men, husbands, you got to say it just like that, then that's okay. But they don't represent the majority of black women, I would argue. Right? And so shout out to FD for admitting it, like, yo, like I'm not gonna frame things. I'm not even just frame it. Rewind. I'm not gonna say certain things. And like he kind of told us, like, this is why y'all channel, like I'm doing essentially what FD said is he is purple pill for black leftists. That's what FD essentially told us. He is slow walking black men into being essentially exactly what I said. Men funds, women runs, and he's slow walking black men into why that's okay. He is the purple space, the purple pill for brothers that kind of don't get it. Don't listen to that black manosphere over there. They're too toxic and they're misogynistic and they hate black women, or they think black women hate them, which, to a certain extent is true. Right? Listen to me, because I'm going to provide you with some information to make you okay being the paymaster while your wife and your girlfriend and your baby mama run things, and y'all call that egalitarian. Right? And not subscribing to a patriarchal model of family. More important, let's frame it correctly. A white patriarchal model. Right? He's blue pill. See, Creole, I don't think FD signifier is really blue pill. I don't think FD signifier is blue pill. Don't get it misconstrued. I don't think FD signifier is blue pill. Especially when you see he said he left intersectional. He's called himself an intersectional feminist, and that's where he got, we started rolling on this road. But he kind of left that alone. That brother's not blue pill. Especially when he openly admitted, yeah, I'm not gonna say certain things are gonna mess with my money. Ooh, from Africa I came. Ooh, I don't know if he all the way black pill with it, but let me read this anyway. And from Africa I came says he not blue pill, he's black pill hustling. Ooh. Remember, the brother has a master's degree and he was working on his PhD. It just became too time consuming and expensive. Right? He did grow up on the outskirts of Chicago and he is in Atlanta right now. Right? Like I said, I don't think the brother's blue pill. Right? But something you have to, and that's why I said on one of the previous videos, FD Signifier and Dr. Umar Johnson have far more in common than I think many people realize. And I would argue Dr. Umar Johnson ain't blue pill neither. Dr. Umar Johnson ain't blue pill either. Don't let these people and what they say on social media and the way they frame things and the angle that they come at it from. Don't let it get you misconstrued. Don't let it get you confused. Sorry. I don't think they're blue pill. I think FD found his niche and he's trying to force FD thinks that what we're doing over here is needless antagonizing of black women that we could be more in allyship with if we would stop antagonizing and picking on the little things that are not that serious, like divestors. And if we would just let that type of stuff roll off of our back, if not completely ignore it or minimize it, then we could be in community with black women and do what exactly? You mean like much of the brothers did in the 80s and early 90s? How did that work for black men? Oops. Right? I would argue that the brother really not that I do actually believe. I do think that he thinks that what we're doing here, he understands why this exists. I think he understands why this exists. And low key, I think he appreciates it, right? But he feels like it's needless antagonism of black women. We hyper focus on divestors. That's Mr. Z. That's not the whole entire Black Manosphere. That's not most of the Black Manosphere. That's Z and a couple of other people, right? And we spend too much time in an inordinate amount of time cherry picking insane black women and what they've said or done. But that's black women. It's interesting, once again, the framing of black women misbehaving as like this one-off thing. When you got sisters twerking at slave ports in Africa. Right? Like, y'all really got to grapple with black women and negative liberty and how they internalize that. And y'all give me a second, y'all. Right? And Big Kev says, FD is a far leftist that capes for leftism. Yeah, I agree. And what did he say? Marriage is patriarchal anyway. Well, fine. I'm not even going to argue with that. That's why I didn't. Fine. Marriage is patriarchal and women want it anyway. Huh? Have fun. Like I said, have fun trying to tell them they can't have it. Or tell them what an egalitarian marriage look like and see if they want to get married still. Huh? And much of this is what I'm trying to say, although I don't think he does it fully, but from Africa I Came says, he'll use our points in academia, but soften them up to be more palatable to the gynocracy. And I'm saying you can't do it. Right? Because y'all ever hear someone, or like for those of you, with your parents or maybe a sibling or a spouse that says, it's not what you say, it's the way you say it. But really, there was never a good way to say it. They're saying it's not what you say, it's the way you say it to minimize the point and say, no, you came at me too aggressive, you were too assertive, you were too harsh, right? But really, that's to minimize what you said in the first place because they weren't trying to hear it in the first place. And that's what I'm arguing. It doesn't matter how FD presents this. That's why I brought up my brother's keeper. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter who presents it. White man, black man, white woman. Black woman said, If I gotta be with a black man, it's gynocracy. Period. And I call it fairness, but it's men's funds, women runs. Right? So you could try to frame it however you want to frame it, brother FD. The women ain't hearing it. So it's gonna be interesting to watch your gender war video and your is FD signifier simping for black women. But you know what? On the surface, if black women didn't sound the way they do, I wouldn't even have a problem with that. To be honest with you, low key, I think it's black men's job to protect black women. If I'm gonna be honest with you. Oh yeah, the inner R&B is coming out of Z right now. The inner R&B, the inner R&B. I don't think there would be a problem with you not so much simping, because simping means something, but protecting and speaking up positively for black women. As long as you're honest that it's not going to be reciprocated. Oops. Huh? As long as you're honest that FD, you put one big toe out of that box they put you in, and that's your ass. Right? You put one big toe out of that box they have you in. And all those well wishes and fanfare out the window. All that patting you on your head out the window. Right? Yeah, Leon, that's why when you said that earlier, FD is boxed in. Right? And Trail says that part. Capitalism is the devil, but cream. Cash rules everything around me. Exactly. Exactly. And BGS says those are the reactors making money from BFF, black women effery, right? Black female effery. Exactly. Are you simping for black women? I see. I'm honestly, I don't like how I think he's gonna frame this. How we Z, you're still being too nice. How we know he's gonna frame this, and there you go. We know how he gonna frame this. And brother FD, it's not just you. The entire black left. The entire black left. And by the way, you kind of proved it last night with the conversation. Because you're not the only one. Foreign man in a foreign land probably saying and thinking the same thing. Conscious Lee is probably saying and thinking the same thing. T1J is probably saying and thinking the same thing. Right? The other brother that you show sometimes with the pink dreads, same thing. Y'all all doing the well, you know what, we're not gonna mention that about black women, and we're not gonna say this, and we're not gonna do that, and fine. But on the other side are the women that are not playing that game. Huh? It's interesting you brought up Kim Foster. I'm just saying. Huh? And she's let a lot of her personal gripes with whatever black man she had a personal gripe with seep into her politics and her advocacy or lack thereof. Right? And there's a whole lot of that coming from black women going back to what BGS? The plantation? There's a whole lot of that going back to the plant. But if you want to be kind, at least since Jim Crow. right? And BGS says, call a spade a spade. Hotep simping for black women, which is why I left. And there you go. My brother, you can't say that about the sisters. Right? You can't say that about Earth, Mother, Queen, Goddess, Keisha. As I said before, black men, you want power. Black women want justice. And there is a difference. What homegirl said, BGS? Let the table break. Right? So, Leon said Hotep women is God. And PK says every time FD comes up on a panel, we should all burst into old Negro spirituals. LOL, brother. It really is that. And like, it's, you know, like I said, the framing of this, we're really not going at black women the way we could. You know, shout out to the 18th letter. I I listened to Divested Zealot going at Chrissy, and it's from a couple of weeks ago, and I missed it, and I finally clicked on the link. 18th letter sent it to me, and shout out to the 18th letter. And I was like, God damn! I heard more profanity here and more aggressive talk than I heard in any freaking rap diss ever. This is worse than Pac hit 'em up. This is worse than Meek Mills and Drake. This is worse than No Vaseline. This is worse than Pusha T and Drake. This is worse than Ludacris, Big Sean, Drake, and who else he was going at that time. Well, damn, this is worse than Cannabis and LL. This is worse than, right, Kumo D and LL. This is wow. Right? And when you listen to that, you're like, and you get this, you get the feeling, and this is why I say like this reality TV show crap, right? Which, you could debate art imitate life or life imitate art, which one came first, the chicken or the egg? But all that is like the playing out of when they finally put these women in the same restaurant, and then the furniture start moving. Right? Oh yeah. I'm bringing this up. I'm definitely gonna bring this up. Right? And Drake says, Z, don't forget about the brick lady thing. I won't. Right? And like I was saying, it's that's what you got from the way Divested Zealot and her panel were responding to Chrissy. And what I'm saying is that black men are not going at black women that way. Black men in the black manosphere aren't going at black women that way. And we're not even going at the divestors and swirlers that way. Right? So there's something to be said about which one of us is truly the unhinged ones. By your own admission, FD. By your own admission. And I'm glad I got to get that in there. The swirlers are just a little bit nicer. They can discipline themselves and contain themselves just a little bit better. And their framing, once again, is the best man for the job, but they still end up under the white man's scrotum. I didn't say any non-black man. For the most part, the white man. Right? And Jake once again says, Z, don't forget the brick lady thing. You know, I the fact that FD said y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. The fact that FD didn't know that the brick lady thing, Rhoda, was a whole scam, and she's done this multiple times before, and she tried to pull it again just a couple weeks ago, just a few weeks ago. That's crazy that he did not know that, or he did. He tried to slip it in there. Pause. Right? You really didn't know that the Rhoda thing was a whole scam? Yanni realized that it was a whole scam. Chrissy never reported on it. Paris didn't report on it. Tanya TKO had to moonwalk right up out of there. You didn't realize that that was a scam? And then you tried to shame us about it. And his point was that we spend an inordinate amount of, we spend an inordinate amount of time trying to minimize and go at quote unquote victims of DV and of any type of assault, any black women that experience assault at the hands of a black man and or DV at the hands of a black man. We are the first ones to minimize it and start asking certain questions that once again minimize it. And I think him using Rhoda is a perfect example of what the hell we're talking about. The fact that you didn't realize, or maybe you did, that Rhoda thing was a scam is perfect for what you were arguing, because it only proves the point, number one, that many times it's a lie, right? Many times it's a lie, number one. And number two, even after it's found out that it's a lie, the lie still lingers. What's the quote? The lie is already halfway around the world while the shoes, well, excuse me, the lie is already halfway around the world while the truth is still trying to get his shoes on. I think you trying to use the Rhoda and brick face lady situation as an example, I think that was apropos. That was perfect that you tried to use that to beat us over the head with. Right? I think that was perfect because it only proved the point. Right? And John Joe says, and thank you for the super chat, men funds, women runs. Yeah, I've been saying that for a little while on my channel. Y'all go ahead, don't, I got to trademark that. Y'all can use it, but I got to trademark it. Right? You hear it anywhere else, they got it from Z. Right? And to think that a woman could stay standing with a brick upside the head. Right? And her first reaction is to blame the black men around her for not doing anything and not cry and yell and say call 911 and come on. And as the brother, if you're still listening, if you were ever listening, check out Dr. Richie off of, is it Indisputed or Undisputed, where one of the sisters that he has on there often, she said it. Rhoda played on the black gender war. She used all the tropes against black men for sympathy and for that 40 some odd, I think it might have went even higher, that 40 some odd $1,000 that she got out of the deal. Right? Yes, yes. And Will says, he basically said without saying that patriarchy with feminist specifications is a rational desire for women. Absolutely. Absolutely. have fun getting enough men to sign up for that, for the vagina. Unfortunately for y'all, we got internet porn now, right? Unfortunately for y'all, the average man, and Jason Black was right about this, the average man is so starved for sex now and is getting used to being starved for sex that on the other side of that, you can't wave around that vagina anymore and get him to do whatever you need him to do. That discipline is going to be ironclad in a minute. Does that mean some men don't fall? Of course not. That's not what I'm saying. And even I called it when it first happened. I was like, something about this story not right. Something about this story is not right. And Better You, this is a perfect question. This is a great question. And Better You says that brings about a question. Is it okay for women to manipulate, scam, coerce, and deceive without consequences, and why? Black Uru spoke about this years ago, maybe 2 years ago at this point. That for a lot of women, because of men's physical prowess, they think that everything they do is okay because you come out the womb stronger than them, or at least you eventually develop to be physically stronger than them and faster than them. So what they feel like they're doing is making up for that by, yes, manipulating, scamming, coercing, and deceiving. Right? Exactly, compassionate. Yes, because of patriarchal dominance. It's perfectly okay because you're a man. So it's okay if I lie to you. It's okay if I manipulate you and scam you and coerce you and deceive you. And it's okay if I do that to the system so the system could put its foot in your ass for anything that I felt uncomfortable with. That's where Amber Heard comes in. That's where Rhoda comes in. Right? That's where Amanda Seals come in with talking about the football player. Right? That's where the random white woman years ago, young white woman, I think she might have been like 19, 20 or something like that. And she was engaged, and then she ended up lying and saying, she was attacked or raped by like three black men. Come to find out, she made up the whole story because she didn't want to get married. Lying on random black men, for Amber, of course, but women lying on men in general, lying on random black men, white women with Jonathan Majors. Because I feel a certain way. We already know that that's what women engage in. Assassination. That's why when we do it, what do we call them? When men do that, what do we call them? We don't call them women, we call them the worst type of women. What do we call them? When men are talking about men, what do we call Snoop and Too Short got a word for it. Right? So we know that women engage in character assassination. And because they feel a certain way, they're going to marshal the state, marshal other men, marshal women to go at you by destroying your character. Right? So yeah, they play those type of games, go, lying and scamming and deceiving and coercing men. And it's perfectly okay because they feel like, well, you're stronger than me, you're faster than me, so Let me use my tools, my quote unquote intelligent, I said quote unquote, right? Intelligence and wittiness over you. And now that less and less men are playing that game, oh, you're gonna see women screaming. They already are, right? And Big Kev says, and thank you for the super chat. Simple. And the vast majority of black men are sexist and misogynistic a-holes, then black women should find it easy to be in LTR with everyone else. What does LTR stand for? Oh, okay, lesbian trad relationships? I don't know. Big Kev, you gotta let me know what that means. Right. Wow. Venom King says, my coworker literally said Majors did it because how he acted in Creed 3 was a little too real. She's crazy. Bruh. Wow. Okay, long-term relationships. Thank you. Thank you, Trell. And Big Cat, okay, Big Cat was responding. Yeah, long-term relationship. Thank you, Terenzo. Yeah. And Will says, FD comes over here solely to pull Mr. Z and other politically left black men over to BreadTube with him. Well, I wouldn't mind that money, though. Ooh, I know he eating. Ooh, you know FD eating. He's eating. Ooh. Hey, hey, Black Master, I'm about to sell y'all the hell out. Mr. Z done had a change of heart. I done turned a new leaf. Black, what? The Black Manosphere? What you talking about? Who? I don't even know what you're talking about. Who? Those guys? Nah. Look, Mr. Z done evolved. I've changed. I saw the error in my ways. I was such a misogynist back then. Oh, I hated black women. Right? I hated they gums because they black. Right? Oh, I hated black. I was jealous of them and their success. Ebony K. Williams was so right, right? And Tiffany Cross was right. I need to get in line with behind black women because they're the moral center of the black community and they're the backbone of the black community. And the Black Manosphere is just jealous of black women and their upward mobility, right? The Black Manosphere is just a cadre of sexist, misogynist, colorist, featurist, texturist, right? He-man, woman hater group of people. And I apologize, my deeper sincerities that I was ever affiliated and associated with the likes of those wayward men. Yawn. Right? Exactly, Trell. Those dusty ninjas have poisoned my mind. Right? Exactly. Mr. Z, I'm a community college dropout. I was jealous of all the resources women get. Yeah, that part. I don't know. Hey, sometimes that money, bro. And Compassionate says it gotta suck to have to pretend and ignore certain ish just to maintain your cash flow. I don't know because I know FD gotta be eating. For him to be remember FD YouTube is his career now, at least for now. And I'm probably sure he's gonna try to transition out because obviously up and down, and all it takes is one video and you're done. You're out of there, right? So if YouTube is his career, then he probably spends most of his time at home. And then his wife is an at-home mom now, a stay-at-home mom. They're living the dream. They get to be at home with their kids, right? So yeah, I'm pretty that money got to be because if his wife was the primary breadwinner, and then now he's able to float, not even float, prosper in a way where both of them are doing well, right? Ooh, that gotta be beautiful. Ooh, that gotta be beautiful. Jake, essentially it did come off that way. And Jake says, whenever Z makes a point, y'all hate women, FD. Yeah, it did come off that way. Passport OG, thank you for the compliment. Passport OG says, that was beyond impressive. Look, man, look, I'm about to sell y'all out. Y'all don't even know what you're talking about. I was serious. No, I'm not. Because I would have been left. Right? He kind of did that the time before that. I would have been left. Skirt. Right? Look, the Z would have been out here, 700 horsepower. The M would have had airbags on it, right? I had to say, I just bought wheels for the M, but I had to save for that, while also making sure I don't mess up my savings just for having savings. And it's still not like, Mrs. A ain't saying on money. Like, I'm a regular blue collar worker that's piecing together life like the rest of us. But I would have been bought those wheels. But I would have bought them new, not off of Facebook Marketplace, searching and hunting for the cheapest, nicest wheels I could find. Right? Scouring the internet. Right? And they still not on the car. You want to know why? Because I got to buy tires for them and everything. Right? I mean it for the message. I know I could switch my content up. I know I could delete this and come back, spend 6-7 months, a year off of YouTube, come back a whole new person and sell y'all the hell out. And like I said, the Z will be 700 horsepower. The M will be on bags, on some nice ass expensive new wheels. Right? Put down on a crib. My girl will be living nice. Eventually show my face because it don't matter. Right? So, but honestly, I couldn't live with myself, number one. Number two, who's going to speak up for black men? Full-throatedly, pause. Somewhere in the world is Cameron Wosa, right? Who's going to speak up for black men? We have the academics. Right? We have the academics. Shout out to the academics. And as I said to like, look, the academics, they can only go so far, right? And they go, thank you. 70 likes, 70 watching, and only 45 likes. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Y'all better stop before Compassionate start calling y'all bogus. And Compassionate said, bank account fat as hell, but wakes up staring at the ceiling every morning with a blank stare. And I mean, it depends on the money. It depends on the money. And I think, because I'm pretty sure Chrissy will not ever hear this, and if she does, I think I'm having an impact on Chrissy. When Chrissy said, I was thinking about this the other day. When Chrissy said, I'm never going back. I'm never going back to being pro-black male. I'm never going back to being pro-black. That means that she's grappling with that. That means it's crossed her mind. If you said it randomly and I didn't say it, and I know you listen to me, that means it's bothering you, and you're starting to think of the error of your ways and how you sounded over the past half decade. Right? And as I should, that's why I told y'all I am not anti-SBE. I'm not. And even if I'm wrong about Chrissy, I am not anti-SBE. I am not. I've said it. I am about shaming, blaming, and explaining. If that's going to work, right? That's a good question. And Compassion said, he kind of spoke to this last night, actually. And Compassion asked, how does he reconcile all of the PhDs in this space? Does he truly think they are misinformed about social science? I don't think that. I think because he spoke to this last night. How did he say it? How did he say it last night? Because he spoke to this last night. I think FD looks at the PhDs as having their own gripes. It's what I say, but he just flips it. Having their own gripes with black women and going at black women using, essentially intellectualizing their misandry. Excuse me, their misogyny. Intellectualizing their misogyny and a thinly veiled intellectual attempt at misogyny at that. And they should be more attempting to be in community with black women. Now, if you ever listen to Gigi speak and Dr. T speak, these are black men that love black women. If you listen to BGS speak, these are black men that love black women. If you listen to Dr. Thunder speak, these are black men that love black women. Dr. Ron O'Neill took his ass to Africa, to sub-Saharan Africa. Right? These are black men that love black women. That are attracted to black women. So I think it's when you reduce the academics in this space to intellectualizing their misogyny in a very thin veil of that, a very thin intellectualizing of it, a very piss poor intellectualizing of it. And first of all, like pretty much flipping what Mr. Z says about these people intellectualizing their misandry. Shout out to Toya. What you actually do is minimize, because he said hiding power levels, right? Let's not forget what FD was speaking to when he said that last night. And it's once again, it's, yeah, y'all are doing and saying the same thing, but it's different because you're the one in position of power. And when you frame the conversation that way, you completely minimize what black men are saying. Black men are not in the positions of power like that. Number one. Isn't that the whole argument from black women, particularly professional managerial class, who sometimes are also petite bourgeoisie black women, that how much better they are and they are doing than their black male counterparts? Isn't that their whole argument? So are they the ones in power, or are black men? Right? And if they're the ones in power, which I argue they are, then it comes back down to what I was saying. Much of their complaint is, it's not fair. Why can't I have what the white woman has? And here comes the lowering marriage rate. Right? I think that it's interesting when he tried to, and when he tried to pretend like he didn't remember Dr. T. Hassan Johnson's name. You need to have a conversation with Dr. T. Hassan Johnson. FD, you need to have a conversation with Dr. T. Hassan Johnson. Right? And Dr. Green Gorilla, to be honest with you. Dr. T. Hassan Johnson's weighing anyway. Right? And Passport OG, thank you for the Cash App. Thank you for the Cash App. You need to have a conversation with Dr. T. Hassan Johnson and stop moving and shuffling and ducking and dodging and minimizing what he's saying and what he's doing over here. Because Dr. T. Hassan Johnson exists online because brothers like you. Dr. T. Hassan Johnson exists online because brothers like you don't speak up enough for black men. And when you do, your framing is absolutely horrendous. Imagine this: black women who don't take other black women to task for their bad behavior, and then black men who also are too afraid to take black women to task for their bad behavior, but will take black men to task for their bad behavior. What does that then end up showing? Huh? What do black women end up, if you're watching, if you're a black girl and you're, oh, and as a matter of fact, isn't there studies about this with black girls in classrooms watching black boys get suspended and expelled? Like, oh my God, the research, right? What does it mean when you as a black girl and then a black woman continue to watch as your brothers and your potential husbands in the future and boyfriends and baby daddies, you watch them always get a foot in their ass. They always getting a foot in their ass in front of you, right? And exactly, Compassionate and Callous, and Compassionate says FD leaves every conversation with us with a book list and research to review. That says it all. That says it all, right? That says it all. So there's a lot to take away from this. I'm gonna listen to that interview another 2, 3 times. I'm gonna let it, rest. I might cut the intro out, and post it so y'all could just, y'all don't have to listen in for the first 35 or so minutes when I go over what's going on in South Korea. Which, like Trell said, like that was, it would have been really good to have him speak on that, and what's going on in South Korea. But as he said, we're from the outside looking in when it comes to the Asian community. But like I said, I like to juxtaposition the Asian community to the black community, particularly when it comes to interracial relationships, to show what women of color are really on when given the opportunity. And the men of their respective races are earning pretty good, but once again, their men don't dominate the society. Their men might have some money, but their men are in the face of patriarchal power. This is where Asian women come in, right? Jake, good point, because I missed that. And Jake says he also said he's not a researcher, he's an essayist. Yep, yep, right. And I think this is true. Better You, and Better You says Dr. T would expose him. He won't do it. But I think it. Look, this is not just about catching, getting your points in, getting the little jabs in, and the little haha gotchas, right? Like, if FD purports to care about the black community and wanting to recreate something like what the Black Panthers had, these are his words, right? The kind of dynamic that the Black Panthers had, um, then it would behoove him to speak to a Dr. T to also see what's getting in the way of that. And I think FD plays down how much black women get in the way of that, right? And y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. I think he downplays how much black women get in the way of that, right? I'm reminded of the clip that BGS played, where the black people coming out, it looks like it's in the middle of the civil rights movement, but it might be coming out of the civil rights movement. They're talking, and the sister pretty much said, "You're gonna have to take the power out of our hands. If we could take, you're going to have to take the power out of our hands." Right? And y'all talk amongst yourself. Give Mr. Z 1 second. And we're back, right? And Time to Learn says he has spoken on Asian incels before. He is a disingenuous liar. Look, like I said, when I saw, and that was the whole point, right? When I saw him play down that no one cares about the fact that Asian women marry outside their race, at this, extreme rate, except for Asian incels, right? And he said it, and he was trying to be comical about it. When I saw that, I was like, there's something to be said there. There's a there. And so when I brought it up, and he said, yeah, there's a little there. And I'm like, no, 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 no. There's a big there. There's a huge there. And that's the whole point. That is my point right there. For those of you that wonder why Mr. Z brings up the Asian community and Asian women in these conversations, and like, what does that have to do with the black community? Because I'm, once again, juxtaposition. I am proving that when women are in position where they need for nothing, when the men of their respective races can have the money and can afford them the nicer things in life, for many of them, they still want the white man because it's still white patriarchy. So Asian men operating in a white patriarchal system and doing well in that white patriarchal system is still not good enough because they're not the white patriarchs. And black men, I would argue, if enough of us rise to that position, I would argue we're going to be put in the same position. We elevated black enough to enough white. Okay, thank you. Drop me off right here now. Thank you. Right. So unless y'all try to tear down white patriarchy straight up, then I don't know what this is about. I don't know what we're doing here. Let's see, PK say he tagged me. He isn't even prepared for our conversation. What do you think he would have anything value to add to that discussion? Oh no, that's a. This is a good one, right? It's not highlighting. Give me a second. Okay. I'm trying to press button. It's not allowed. Okay. So I'm almost certain I'm gonna. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. I knew I was Borg inputs and wouldn't light this up. Okay, let's see. If I move over here. Okay, hopefully you guys can hear me now. Right? Hopefully you guys can hear me now. And Venom King, there we go. Venom King says, "BreadTube is intellectualizing pop culture logic," and I think a lot of that is what it is. I think a lot of that is what it is, right? I think that's what we're witnessing a lot over here, right? And shout out to you for actually saying that. I was waiting for you, Trail, and Trail said Evergreen Wireless gets him every time. Right? I was waiting. I knew you. I knew it was gonna be Trail. I thought it was. It could have been someone else, but I was like, Trail gonna be the one. He's gonna be the one. No, but you're right. I thought it too. I was like, I should say it before Trail says it. I'm gonna beat you to it one day. Oh, you said you didn't get anything of what I was saying because I was borging. I don't really have an answer to that, right? I don't really have an answer to that. I don't think that he's prepared for the conversation, right? Okay. And that's okay. And Passport OG says he had a sentence passport bros are going to love. I had to take that, take that. I don't know if you want to be referring to Diddy right now, Passport OG. He's persona non grata right now, right? And yeah, but PK, I'm not, not to be funny or like short or curt with it, but I don't. Like I said, I don't think FD lacks the wisdom. I don't think he lacks the knowledge. I don't think he's blue pill. I think the angle that FD is coming at is and I genuinely think this. He's trying to maintain his YouTube career while also like inching some of the things we're presenting here, not all of them. Some of the things we're presenting here, he's trying to forward them to whoever he knows that might have the ears of someone influential or might be, we never know, somewhat of influence. And he's trying to do it in a way that doesn't come off sexist or misogynist, according to them, while maintaining his YouTube career. And I don't know if you can. Right? I don't know if you can. Bruh. Thank you, Indigo. And Indigo says that Twitter X trend where they take something ratchet and come up with a thesis title is real. Let me find out. Yeah, that's what they do though, right? Intellectualize twerking, intellectualize ratchet behavior, intellectualize all. And look, I am not really for respectability politics. Y'all have heard me go at brothers trying to push respectability because my argument is that our issues are bigger than whether your pants are sagging or whether you have a belt on. I'm not saying that this is a positive or good thing. I'm not saying it is to be imitated. I'm saying a brother that spent $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 on Jordans is not the reason why black people are poor. So I am not for respectability per se, but I do see acting and comporting yourself a certain way as indicative of larger communal issues, especially when as an act of defiance and as an act of sticking your middle finger up at other black people, and as an act of sticking your middle finger up at rules and norms and rules of engagement and things that you may not want to do at a certain time in a certain space. And when you do that, now it's not just about being respectable. You're actively sticking your middle finger up. It's negative liberty. You're actively sticking your middle finger up at everyone else, right? And that's what I'm speaking to. Trail, exactly. You can't serve two masters. You will love the one and despise the other. Ooh, exactly. Okay, then and PK says, I see you, I get you, and I understand. Thanks for answering. Right? And Indigo, I hope I addressed that comment that you put because yeah, I think yeah, that intellectualizing and coming up with these think pieces and these articles about certain behaviors coming, and you see that with everything, right? Like that's what they were on when they were dancing on Kevin Samuel's grave and trying to intellectualize it and trying to explain it away and like don't try to what was it? Don't try to police how black women respond to Kevin Samuels because he was so dangerous and he was such a bad guy, and you know don't try to tone police black women and et cetera, right? Et cetera, et cetera. And Endless Wayfarer says, and thank you for the super chat, I'm a passport bro and a leftist. It's internationalism all down for me. Shrug. But yeah, BreadTube is just mediocrity all the way down. Instead of actually being critical of ring theory, ring wing theory. Okay, I'm a little lost on that. Right. I need a little bit more endless. Right. Endless. By the way, if I call you nameless by mistake, obviously, because obviously, right. Um, but yeah, so at the end, shout out to FD for jumping on the stream. I'm about to end out in a little bit, you guys, because I can only be reckless for so long, right? So once again, don't put it in the comments. Don't put it in the comments, right? Oh, right ring. Okay, he meant to say right ring. Okay, right wing. Okay, let's do that again. But yeah, BreadTube is just mediocrity all the way down. Instead of actually being critical of the right ring theory. Yeah. Well, like I said, they won the culture war. We won the culture war on the left. Um, and like that's why black women are twerking right now, right? But the economic war they didn't, so they OD'd on the culture war, the pop culture war stuff. Wow, wow! Shout out to you, Doc, for being in here. And Dr. Dunbar says, Z, many of the older folks are unaware of these issues. My father didn't know large groups of black women celebrated Kevin Samuels' death. Yeah. See? Right. And Doc, is your dad a boomer or is he silent generation or greatest? Right? Probably silent or greatest. Which one came first? I forgot. I always get a little fuzzy over there on that part. Right? But yeah, I'm not surprised that your dad wouldn't know, and then he would be, you know, he might have been unaware or surprised. Boomer? Okay, he's a boomer. Okay. I'm not surprised. I want to be very clear because I think we say it here, but we don't emphasize it enough. And it's not to defecate on the boomers, but most boomers aren't like BGS. Black male boomers aren't like BGS and Black Uru. Most of them are not. What's the name of the other older brother that he used to be around much more, and then and now he just pops up in and out, and we wonder if he's still alive sometimes. Y'all know who I'm speaking about. I forgot his name. He's right there too. His name is right there. He's out of California also, right? I forgot this brother's name. Somebody's gonna say it eventually. But yeah, most boomers are not them. Thank you, PK. Greatest silent boomer. Okay. Most black men are not them. I would argue most boomer black men are moving like Steve Harvey. Beasley. Thank you, Dr. Dunbar. I knew somebody was a Beasley. That's exactly what I was talking about. Thank you. Right? Perfect. That's exactly what I was speaking about. Beasley. Thank you, AB. Beasley. Exactly. Beasley. All right. And yeah, most of them are moving, and I'm certain that why is his name slipping me right now? Dr. Boyce Watkins. Dr. Boyce Watkins, I'm pretty sure he's a Xer, but most black boomers, that's how they moving. Like Dr. Boyce Watkins and like Steve Harvey. That's what they're on. Right? So I'm not surprised, Doc, that your dad was kind of unaware. I'm not surprised. I because what Kevin was saying, and as a matter of fact, you heard a couple of black women that called into Kevin saying, like, Kevin, you just remind me of my dad. That's it. Right? You remind me of my grandfather. You ain't saying nothing. too outlandish, but that lets you know how these things have changed over time so much that what Kevin was saying and what Kevin was presenting, excuse me, and more importantly, how Kevin was responding to black women and their subtle to blatant disrespect and their low level to high level contempt of him as an individual black man and black men writ large, you can see how that is so allowed now that there's been a de-evolution from the era of your father, Dr. Dunbar, to, up until 2 years ago when Kevin passed, or a year and some change ago when Kevin passed, right? That's the I get told, okay, all right, because it's not highlighting again. Oh boy. Give me a second. Let's see if we get something here. And there we go. And PK says, I get told by my dad I sound like his granddad. I just shake my head like, wow. Exactly. That's my point. Exactly. Exactly. Right. Okay. That's my sign, y'all. That's my sign. Phil said I'm Borgin. That's my sign. That's my sign. All right, everyone. Like I said, I can only live reckless for so long. Okay. And on that note, right, yeah. So shout out to the brother FD Signifier for I have an open panel to speak to anyone. That includes some of y'all divestors. Don't come here loud talking to me. I'm gonna drop your ass. Like for real. Don't come in insulting and belittling and yelling. I'm not even gonna engage. Well, it depends. It depends on how I feel that day. My channel, right? But if y'all want, that's all of y'all. And like that's what I was saying before too. And I don't know if y'all caught it. I think when Chrissy said, "I'm never going back to being pro black. I'm never going back to being pro black male," that let me know it's messing with her. Oh yeah, you thinking about it? Oh, as you should. That's why I said I'm not anti shame, blame, and explain. You better believe Mr. Z will shame and blame and explain if I need to, or if I feel it warrants it. And I have no shame in shaming, right? Imagine black people thinking they're too above other black people to shame, blame, and explain. Imagine, right? So, when Chrissy said that, what I heard from it is it's bothering you, and what Mr. Z is presenting here is something that you're considering, even if it's reluctantly. So be it. So be it. You went too far. You sounded too crazy over the past half decade. And there's a whole lot of y'all that played around with this, including you, Kim Foster, and you should know better, especially as a Harvard graduate. Sis, you know them white dudes ain't checking in that space. And if they are, it's African sisters. You were at Harvard, and my cousin was at Harvard. My older cousin was at Harvard. So I know the dynamics that's going on over there. All in MIT and in Harvard. Them white guys ain't checking for black women like that. Stop. Especially white guys on that level. We know what they on. Shout out to Mark Zuckerberg. Right? So a lot of y'all got off. Y'all got off on the gender warring, and y'all got to run real fast, especially online with the gender warring. And now it's time to come back home, baby. Right? I said Sid, Roger Sid. Shout out to the Roger Report. Where you think you going, black women? Are you done yet? Is you finished or is you done? Right? So you're gonna stop throwing the temper tantrum now? It's not fair. Why are black women always told to settle? Why are black women always told to settle, Z? White women aren't told to settle. Black women are always told to settle. Venom, bruh. Venom, exactly. Venom King says, word like black women think people forgot racism is about assigning your race to a class. Bruh. And on that note, right? And on that note, let's read what Mr. Shook to you got. But I can't really say anything else to that. And there you go, FD signifier. That's what the temper. Everything that black women been saying. I don't know since the plantation, but definitely over the past half century. It's really about trying to get out of that classification, that designation, that forced classification of black. And I don't think FD would disagree with me on that. As a matter of fact, I'm almost certain that he would agree with me on that. And he would say, well, black men too? Yeah, but we're not talking about black men. And like I said, and he agreed, the narrative, the dominant narrative in the black community, once again, is that black men are looking for power and black women are looking for justice. And framing the conversation between black men and black women like that always puts black men at a disadvantage. It always does. Thank you, Venom King. Exactly. Right, and Mr. Shook to you says there are threads online now where black women now have preferences for mixed race black dudes who were, get this, raised by a white mom. Can't make it up, bruh. Wait a minute, Mr. Shook to you. Wouldn't that be colorism and featureism and texturism and classism? Huh. Sounds like a neoliberal assessment of men and the commodification of certain features that mixed couples, particularly black men, white women, would produce in mixed black sons. Huh. What was the Disney movie with the cartoon Disney movie with the sister when they finally made a black princess? And she spent, like, I don't know, 90% of the movie as a frog? The Princess and the Frog, right? Sounds like The Princess and the Frog. Dark-skinned black woman with mixed mulatto light-skinned black man. You want to call colorism now, Chrissy? The Princess and the Frog, exactly. The Princess and the Frog. Right? Huh. Oh, okay. My bad. Thank you, Indigo. You know, I'll just be glancing sometimes. And Indigo just checked Mr. Z low key. And so, Vernon King, your new name is Venom on this channel. My apologies, Vernon. My apologies. Right? My apologies. I really do want to say Venom now. I mean, I already said it like how many times on today's stream. My apologies, Vernon. See, I almost said Venom again. My apologies, right? Huh. PK says, but I kind of gotta walk a tightrope on that one because my mother is mixed. Vernon said, no, it's Venom now. Right. And on that note, everyone, okay, yeah, we just hit the 2-hour mark. All right. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Um, we will pause right there. Y'all have a great, great, great rest of y'all day. Um, yeah. And y'all go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content. Shout out to FD Signifier for jumping on the channel last night. Um, y'all go ahead and share that. It starts around the 33-minute mark, I want to say. About the 33-minute mark. Um, the conversation between me and FD Signifier. So for those of you that didn't catch it last night, you can start it. I did give a nice monologue about what's going on in South Korea also, but if you want to skip that, you start the conversation at the 33-minute mark. Once again, my apologies for ending the stream abruptly. That was on accident. I was not trying. I was pressing the end button and like, what are you doing? As my thumb was coming off the end button. So my apologies once again. My apologies again to Leon because Leon was trying to get my attention on bringing up bell hooks and what she said in front of Gloria Steinem. And I saw it when he put it down the first time. I saw it when he paid for the super chat, and I did, like the conversation was just moving, and I couldn't get that out. And I think it was a great point to actually have FD grapple with, right? And I couldn't get it out. And it wouldn't have been really a gotcha moment as much as a what do you say to this? That one of the people that y'all quote the most, if not the person y'all quote the most in those feminist or Black intersectional circles, admitted that they have a problem being with a man who doesn't earn as much as them, et cetera, et cetera. And which it would explain if she was telling the truth on the interview, why she spent what some 17 years celibate, right? So there's that also. Yeah. So on that note, everyone, y'all have a great, great rest of y'all day. Mr. Z out. All right, everyone. Peace.